What's up, class? All right, Professor Calderon here again. I hope everything is going well. No one has hit me up with any questions yet, so please, if you guys get any questions at any point during these videos or your readings, or you just want to talk about, just hit me up. All right, I can do a Zoom session with you or whatever. We can phone call. Just do not let your questions go unasked. Always in your college career, ask as many questions as possible. Matter of fact, you should be looking for new questions to ask in all your classes. Okay? And this is just a note coming from me that's non-film related. In all your classes, it's all about asking the right questions. You get the information, process it, and then come up with a question based off that information. And that's how you build a relationship with the subject matter as well as the instructor. Okay? So, science fiction, you guys, is probably, I think this is my favorite genre. Okay? I love science fiction. So it was already in existence. It was popularized in the 20s and 30s with magazines. You see all these little crazy little magazines here, The Forbidden Planet. And so on screen, once they started making sci-fi pictures, right, they were given the B budgets. They were called B movies. And a B movie basically is a cheap movie where they don't spend much money on the script or the props or the effects. They just put in the bare minimum that they need to get the movie done. They release it and count their profits. So if you put out enough B movies, right, you have all these multiple profit streams coming in. You can take that profit and now bundle that, save that money, and invest it in an A movie. That's what studios usually do now. So that the whole B movie budget was the main staple for sci-fi genre when it first came out. Star Wars was the game changer. Star Wars elevated the genre to the box office potential. Star Wars, as you guys know, still makes money. You know, I remember when I was a kid and Star Wars came out, and it was a game changer, you guys. I mean, it was like Star Wars mania. It was incredible because we'd never seen anything like it, you know. So Star Wars elevated the sci-fi genre game. The origins of the genre lies with the French, with Mallet, his film A Trip to the Moon. I'll supply a link to that. It's a really funny little, cute little short. But Mallet was the first one to sort of spark that imagination with science fiction on film. The interest picked up after the Cold War with the atomic bomb. We'd never seen a release of that type of energy before. So, of course, it generated a lot of interest globally. And everybody was like, wow, what is this science thing? So the genre picked up again. So from 1950s, we had 150 drive-in theaters. And 7 years later, there was over 4,000. That's a huge boost in such a short time. So, and sci-fi was the backbone to that with all the B movies. Okay? The evolution of the genre is interesting. In the beginning, aliens were benevolent towards man or set on conquering us. You know, they was like, we're coming to kill you, or hey, we're here to be your friends. Take me to your leader. That was in the earlier days. Now we have different variations of themes as far as like the antagonists in the sci-fi genre. With Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey, he added this whole other dimension. The antagonist was not an alien, it was a computer. an artificial intelligence named Hal. And Hal wanted to live. And in order for him to live, he was determined on killing his human in space. So that was Stanley Kubrick's contribution to the genre, and it changed the game. You know, there were no longer just aliens, there was like AI. The genre was also male dominant, white male dominant. And it's the changing factor were the films Alien with Sigourney Weaver. Love it. Great film. Personally, my best one is Aliens 2, or my favorite is the second Aliens. The third one I don't care about much, or the first, but the first two. And then Prometheus was dope. Alien, the first one, and then Linda Hamilton's Terminator, right? These two women were just kicking butt in the sci-fi genre. So they were new. They bucked that white male dominant protagonist character in the genre, okay? So now, with modern times, our sci-fi genre explores different questions like AI, climate change, genetic engineering. We have the resources of on our planet being exhausted. We explore that as well in science fiction. We have global catastrophes. Like what was the one, Judgment Day, where everything goes haywire and New York is covered by a superstorm, and America has to deal with it. So the science fiction genre has expanded beyond just aliens and, rogue computers, okay? So now the genre is so popular, it can support the opera, the sci-fi opera like Star Wars, where you got all these several stories branching off and they're like epic, A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, Han Solo, Mandalorian. It's like a long opera that has many chapters in it now, just like the Western. So now the genre has been elevated to that point. So then there's Blade Runner. You guys, I remember when I first saw Blade Runner, I was probably like maybe 16, 17-ish. And I just remember looking at the screen and wondering, what is this? It was just so weird, different, yet familiar. So Blade Runner is a mix of sci-fi meets noir, right? If you remember from the elements of film noir, they're also in the Blade Runner, like the femme fatale, the conspiracy that's marked, the conspiracy theory, the powers, the higher powers that be controlling or pulling the private detective into a conspiracy, So Blade Runner has all those elements, but it's in a futuristic sci-fi setting. It's LA 2023, I think. And, this is his vision of the future. The protagonists are cyborgs, humanoids, and they've been created to serve man. And they have an expiration date. And because of this expiration date, it forces the cyborgs to ponder their own existence. And in that pondering of their own existence, they are seeking to, like human beings, to prolong their life. So they've come to Earth to find their manufacturer. And the thing is, the cyborgs are forbidden from being on Earth. So the Blade Runner has to hunt them down. And in the process, he starts to ponder their humanity, their existence. Even though they're just machines, he's like wondering about their emotional capabilities. Are we right as human beings for creating these obviously sentient creatures and subjecting them to what is basically slavery? Yeah, they're going to revolt. So these are the kind of questions now that are being brought up in the sci-fi genre. And it's a far cry from just, The Blob or some alien creature coming from outer space and just invading us, bloodshed everywhere. They brought into this whole deeper philosophical question into it. What does it mean to be human? What is the criteria? I remember when I first got to UCLA, I transferred, and my major was philosophy, metaphysics, which is the study of knowledge, epistemology. And in science of the mind, we watched this movie Blade Runner because on a philosophical level, they are really asking some deep seated important questions that sort of been plaguing or sort of that man has been asking since the beginning. What does it mean to be human? What are we? So now we have this sci-fi genre, and they're dealing with this question in a narrative format. Okay? So that was the game changer with Blade Runner. He also introduces this visual motif, right? A visual motif is basically a symbolic system in a movie, and it's repetitively used over and over again in a very creative way. So in the opening sequence, he has this shot right here of the city, right? And then it kind of fades to this eye with the city superimposed over the eye. And then this idea of the eyes are referred to often in the movie. Like the cyborgs, they come to Earth looking for their maker, and the first person they go to is the scientist who manufactured their eyes. And, they go to his lab trying to find some information. Later on, when one of the cyborgs is giving this sort of monologue about his death or his expiration date, he says, I've seen things, I've seen things. And he has this sense of feeling that because he's seen things and he remembers things like humans do, that he should live, And so it's that gateway sort of to the soul, the eyes, that becomes this visual motif, and it just keeps reappearing over and over and over again in a sci-fi genre. Okay, so that's one thing. Great movie, Blade Runner. Even the new one with Ryan Gosling is great. The visuals are amazing. You don't have to know anything in this class about the visual, the composition, or anything. But just know that that film is an amazing standalone, or I should say a standout film in the sci-fi genre because it's bridging sci-fi, film noir, and it's asking these deep philosophical questions. What does it mean to be human? All right, you guys. Keep up with the class. If you're having any issues, please do not hesitate to drop a note, and I will work with you on anything. If you have to miss a week or whatever, you need to unlock something in the past, I'll work with you on that. All right. Happy movie watching.